Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Hello and welcome once again to Quick Shot Reviews for Cheap Shot Entertainment. I am back on camera for a very rare appearance these days because I don't get a lot of chance to set things up as I want to. But you know, it's Christmas and this is a very special video for Christmas for the channel. I'd like to welcome you all to this very special review, thoughts on this film that was released in the USA on this day 50 years ago, and that is The Exorcist. I'm wearing my Exorcist t-shirt, should have given it away. I've got my tree twinkling in the background, and it is one of those films that it kind of needs to be seen to be believed, because it's a film where you think, oh, well, yeah, it's just going to be another one of those. It was made in 1973. We're going to be desensitized to these things. We've seen all this before, but yet it still has that haunting feel. From the very first time I watched this film, I fell in love with it. It was absolutely stunning. The thought, the effort, the acting prowess that was in this film was just amazing. And to think it's 50 years since we got this film is incredible, and it's still heavily in pop culture. We had a recent Exorcist TV show, for example, on Amazon Prime, also very good. I'd suggest you watch that if you're a fan of this film, or if you're just a little bit curious about what The Exorcist can bring. But we're going to talk about the William Peter Blatty written book, The Exorcist, and this film was directed by William Friedkin. It would be Blatty who would direct the third film, in fact, that we're not going to talk about today, but I will mention briefly later on. You've got people in there that can just carry a film, and again, they are etched in history now as part of a film, and to think they are etched in history as part of a film again is absolutely nuts. It's billed as the scariest film of all time, and quite frankly, I think people, I think about this quite a bit, people are desensitized to horror these days. Like for example, The Exorcist is heavily dependent on religion and things like that, and how Christian you are as to how much you believe it. I just think it's just an awesome film. But back in 1973, this had people apparently fainting in the aisles. There is a documentary about the release of The Exorcist and how it affected people when it first came out, and you know, how much people believed this was, you know, a true story. And it is, yeah, it says it's based on real events, so it's not technically based on a true story. The character of Regan, for example, is in real life would have been a boy, and that's the story, the exorcism that it's based on. We do have some modern examples of good exorcism movie. The exorcism movies, The Exorcism of Emily Rose, for example, is very good, and it uses some tropes from this original idea, but takes on a personality of its own, and ultimately that's what you want from an exorcism, from a demon who's taking over a person's soul. You want this character. That is the character. You're doing this film as an exorcism to drive that demon out of the body that it's currently frequenting, and that is what makes this film so good. The recent Exorcist Believer, I did a review on that. I'll put the link in the description to that video down below if you've not seen that film. I didn't mind it. It's definitely nothing like this, and there are some bits in there that weren't great. What makes this film, The Exorcist, the original, so good is that it's a slow build. You slowly built up. You know, it's in a different era. They think Reagan is acting out. They run loads of weird tests on her to try and find what's going off. They scan her brain and all sorts of things. And, you know, eventually that demon comes through and, you know, turns her into what most people see as the demon now, Pazuzu, when they think of The Exorcist, and that is the green-faced girl with the straggly brown hair, wearing the white nightgown, strapped to the bed in the final scene. But in reality, Reagan is a lovely little girl who is growing up. You know, she's quite obedient to her mother. She's only got a mother, don't know where the father is, and therefore lies the sort of underbelly of this story. There's the mother fighting for her daughter's soul, and you know, there's quite an understory with that, I suppose, isn't there? Like a theme running through. So yeah, there's that. There's two characters to Reagan. There's the little girl and there's the Pazuzu character. Most people remember the Pazuzu character, but the intriguing character here is Reagan herself, who puts on a tremendous performance. I can't even think, back in 1973, how much this took out of everybody. And there are stories that there was some things that happened on set that people got scared about, a bit like Poltergeist in 1980. There was things that happened, and they blamed it on the fact that it was exorcism and religion and all this kind of stuff. But again, those stories are there. We saw this with Blair Witch. Those stories are there to make people talk and go, oh, I'm going to go and see this film. And it did. And as much as people said, oh, that's a horrible film, it made me this, maybe that, maybe faint in the aisles, blah, 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 it just made people want to go and see it even more. And it's that morbid curiosity that gets people watching this film. But the score is fantastic. One of my favourite songs is Tubular Bells. Listen to it all the way through. It's fantastic. Even the front of the DVD Blu-ray case, the VHS as it were back then, is iconic. You know, it's Father Karras standing, it's not even Father Karras, is it? Standing in the light, coming out of the window from Reagan's room. It's fantastic. It's brilliant. It's got Ellen Burstyn in it, Max von Sydow, Lee J. Cobb, Kitty Wynn, Jake McGowan, Jason Miller, and of course Linda Blair, who has forged a career out of this one character alone. But I think the purpose of today's video would have been to bring to your attention that this film is 50 years old and still going strong. Still got companies, big film companies, wanting to cash in on The Exorcist. You know, we've had The Pope's Exorcist, for example, this year. We've had all sorts of exorcism movies and they've never quite hit this plateau. And I don't think you ever will create this film again. It was lightning in a bottle, like a lot of films back in the 70s. And yeah, we're still scrambling to get that newer version of this. Bring it to new audiences. No, just put this one back in the cinema and let people enjoy it. Rant. Anyway, it is December the 26th as of this video coming out. And yeah, if you're watching, thank you very much. I hope you've had a wonderful festive period and going into the new year being happy and safe to you and your family. And thank you for supporting us this year. It's not been an easy year in 2023, but I'm hoping that 2024 will be very different. Maybe some more videos like this. Let me know what you think of this format and we'll see what we can do. And once again, you are the Cheap Shot Nation. I have been your host, Luke. Thank you very much for watching.